Hello, I'm Joyce Barrett, and welcome to today's webinar. Webinars are brought to you through the generosity of Heritage Ohio supporters. We invite you to join us by visiting the Heritage Ohio website. Heritage Ohio's mission is helping people to save the places that matter, build community, live better. We have our next upcoming webinar will be with the Ohio Arts Council about their grant programs on January 12th. Today's presentation is about the EIDL, Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loans. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, type it into the question box at any time and we'll get to it. You have a frequently asked questions handout in the handouts box there, which you're welcome to download. Later this afternoon, you will receive an email from GoToWebinar with a link to this recording of the webinar. You're welcome to share it. We also post our webinars on the Heritage Ohio YouTube channel. Today, our presenter is Terry Bolden. Terry serves as Deputy District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration Central and Southern Ohio District Office, managing the delivery of the agency's financial assistance, technical assistance, and government contracting activities to customers and stakeholders throughout 60 of Ohio's 88 counties. Terry is a Cleveland native and a graduate of Cleveland State University, and he has a passion for serving his fellow Ohioans so that they can achieve prosperity in their business. Terry, take it away.
Good afternoon, Joyce, and thank you for the intro. I want to say thank you for everyone who has or tuned in for today's presentation for COVID EIDL updates. I know we're currently at the sprint or the end of the program, and we definitely wanted to share some important information that will be helpful for businesses that are continuing to seek resources to help their business due to the pandemic. Joyce, again, thank you for the intro, and thank you for everything that Heritage Ohio does. Your mission with economic development aligns with the SBA, and we're proud to be a partner with everything that you do there at Heritage Ohio. As I mentioned, we are currently at the end or the sprint towards the end of the COVID EIDL program. We know that over the last 20 months, many of our businesses are still in recovery mode. As you know, the COVID-19 has taken a huge, it's been a huge hit to many businesses, but we know that they're recovering through many of the resources that we're providing here at the SBA. And I would say proudly that the SBA has been able to assist millions of businesses across the country with COVID EIDL relief programming. One important aspect about the COVID EIDL loan program is the generous terms that it offers for businesses seeking assistance. 3.75% interest at a 30-year repayment period, which is a term loan, and it is fixed. 3.75 again for a sizable loan for a small business is huge. And one important key factor to know is that 2 years of your first payment will be deferred. One of the other great things that we also mentioned about the EIDL program is that it's flexible. Small businesses can use COVID EIDL funds for operating expenses that would include working capital, including utilities, rent, and other business-related expenses to pay debt, but also to refinance debt that is business related to your company or firm. And one other great thing I would like to mention about COVID EIDL, it is a direct loan from the SBA to the borrower. Unlike the PPP loan, as many of our businesses have had the opportunity to take advantage of, PPP loans were administered through our lenders. Our lenders who had what they call delegated authority were able to originate the loan. Once paperwork was submitted, we then, the SBA, would then reimburse the lender at 100%, as long as 60% of the funds were used towards payroll. But again, COVID EIDL is a direct loan through the SBA to the borrower. There are three buckets or basic terms of the COVID EIDL program. There are loans from $1,000 to $25,000, $25,000 to $500,000, and loans from $500,000 that caps to $2 million. This loan can also be used for both nonprofit organizations or business, and the percent for a nonprofit for a 30-year repayment period is 2.75%. Again, for business, for profit is 3.75 over 30 years. Now, there are minimum requirements in terms of credit score that, again, in the general banking industry, are not as flexible as they are here with the through the COVID EIDL program through the SBA. You must have a minimum credit score of 570 in which no collateral is required or personal guarantee is required for a loan from $1,000 to $25,000. For loans that are from $25,000 to $500,000, again, that credit score is still the same, a minimum of 570. But a personal guarantee will be required for loans that are above $200,000. Also, a UCC filing is also required. And for those businesses that are seeking a loan from $500,000 to $2 million, a minimum credit score of 625 is required. A UCC filing is also required as well. For loans that are above $500,000, a cash flow analysis is conducted and performed to ensure that the borrower has the ability to repay loans that are capped at $2 million. And again, as I mentioned before, funds can be used for working capital, payroll, rent, other federal debt that is regularly scheduled for payment, and also commercial debt. And that makes the this COVID EIDL program attractive for many businesses seeking to rebound from the pandemic. Some of the time frame of looking at where new applications and COVID EIDL increases occur. We also know that many of our businesses that have already received a COVID EIDL, they still have the opportunity to apply for an increase up 2 years after the loan origination of the original COVID EIDL loan amount. But for new businesses, applications that are seeking, or new COVID EIDL applications seeking a loan, there are certain criteria that we require. First, we do require a 4506T form from all businesses. And the 4506T, you'll see that on our application website, is a form that allows the SBA to request your tax transcripts from the IRS. Many of our businesses have seen some delay with obtaining their transcripts, and as we know, the IRS has had a backlog over the last 18 months or so, and it has caused some delays with the transcripts. But we've been working very diligently with the IRS to assist in that process. But All 4506Ts have to be filled out and signed by the borrower and sent back to the SBA with their application and declaration page. The typical timeline for new applications is about 3 weeks for loans that are under $500,000. For applications seeking funds over $500,000, it's typically about 6 weeks. And applications that are seeking an increase, it has taken about 9 weeks. And this is based upon receiving all of the pertinent documentation from the IRS, which includes your official tax transcripts that we view in collaboration and partnership with the IRS, your federal tax return for 2019. For many of businesses that are seeking an increase or loans above the $500,000, we also require a SBA Form 2202. It is a schedule of liability. And basically, we look at the full total picture of all the debts and the obligations of the business, both personal and business. And we also look at the real estate for that business for loans over $500K. And a personal financial statement is also required, which is the SBA Form 413. Important deadline. Again, the program will end on December the 31st. So for new applications, the deadline for new applications is 11:59 on December 31st of this year. No new applications will be accepted after that deadline. For businesses and COVID-IO borrowers who have already received the loan, you can submit an increase 2 years from the origination date. So if you received your COVID-IO loan this year of June, you have 2 years from June of this year to apply for an increase with a cap up to $2 million. For those businesses that have been denied a COVID-IO or received a decline letter, reconsideration for the COVID-IO program will be 6 months from the date of the decline. So again, even though that the program will be ending on December 31st of 2021, this particular program will still continue to be funded for the next 2 years based upon the availability of COVID-IO funds and whether they are exhausted not during the program. As of right now, I do know that there is a substantial amount of funding left. And I do know, again, there is a sprint to the finish line on this program. But again, as long as that application is submitted by December the 31st for new applications, December 31st of this year, you still will be considered and funds will still be dispersed and funded for the next few years. Also for Target Advance, there were 2 other components to the COVID-IO resource program. There was a Target Advance, which for businesses that were in low to moderate income areas were eligible to receive a $10,000 grant. For those businesses also in the low to moderate income area, for a supplemental advance, those businesses would receive a $5,000 grant. And again, that is a grant, which means it doesn't have to be paid back as long as the business meets the eligibility of being in a low to moderate income area. We do have a mapping tool that we can provide, and it is based on census data track for 2019. I can provide that to Heritage Ohio to provide for your the participants on this call in future reference. The intake process is very simple. If you go on to sba.gov/EIDL or EIDL as we call it, the application is available there along with instructions and a checklist for businesses seeking the EIDL funding. I want to also make special mention for businesses that are seeking loans above the $500,000. There is a special checklist for those businesses. And again, that would require that schedule of liabilities form and also a list of collateral and personal property that you own that you would be actually leveraging for the loan. But again, sba.gov/EIDL, you will be able to access the application. It's a quick intake process, and we would then grant you an EIDL application number and access to the portal. If at any time, and I'm going to provide my email address here, if there's any questions that you've received any issues in submitting your application, or if you're looking for a status update, you can email me directly and I will be able to assist you best way possible. And again, we're at the sprint to this EIDL program. We know that, again, we've assisted millions of businesses through this program, and we're definitely providing this outreach to, we know that there are several businesses that have not taken advantage of the 3.75% 30-year fixed loan. So we definitely want you to know about it and get every bit of information you can through our community partners like Heritage Ohio. And again, here is my email address directly. It is Terry, that's Terry .Bolden, BOLDEN @sba.gov. If you have any questions around EIDL programming or any other SBA resources that we offer, we do have a 7A program, and that program is also for working capital and for businesses seeking resources to grow their company, but also a 504 program. And I know many of our listeners who connect with Heritage Ohio, they're in the historic preservation space. The 504 program, loan program, connects our CDCs and our lenders to SBA resources, and it is built basically for real estate acquisition and purchase. So if you have any questions, definitely please put them in the chat for Joyce. I know that this was a very short kind of a break for everyone during the lunch period to hear a little bit about the COVID EIDL program. But we know that, again, it's a great program and that it will be ending soon. And we want everyone to have as much information as possible and answer any questions that you may have for the program. That being said, any additional questions, please let me know. And Joyce, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, Terry, thank you. I do have a few questions that have come in. The first one is, I have personally applied for EIDL for my business and for all resources, and I keep getting denied because of some fraud issue verifying my name as a U.S. citizen. Do you have any advice?
Absolutely. And we do know when the program first started, there were a lot of cyber actors out there who were basically compromising everyone's or whoever applied or didn't apply their information and personal identity. I would say if you email me directly, I may be able to assist with untangling that situation. That sounds a little more specific, and there's probably some personal information in there that we'll have to look up and check. But you can email me directly. Again, my email address is terry.bolden@sba.gov. And I don't know if you could put that in the chat box there, Joyce.
Sure.
But also I'll give you my direct number, and that is area code 202-853-4040. Would definitely help you work through that situation, but it does sound like there's some information that we'll have to take to be able to untangle that.
That would be great to get that figured out. Another question following up on the EIDL is for nonprofits, and you mentioned several other programs at the end there. Are they all also eligible for nonprofits, or is that unusual for EIDL specifically?
Yeah, actually that is unusual. Most of our programs are all for profit, being that the 7A and the 504 program is built around the business model of for-profit itself. But the EIDL was it was specific for both nonprofit and for-profit. So only in the EIDL program it is a nonprofit
okay.
loan program.
I have another question about the application. Now it's done online, and is there time to cure? So if you get your application in before midnight on the 31st of December and there were some deficiencies in the application, is there a cure period that you will come back, or the application has to be 100% complete and correct to be considered?
Oh, there will be time for cure. As long as the application is submitted by 11:59 on December 31st, that 2-year period of applying for increases or also working through applications that have been declined over that 6-month period will still be active. So we do understand that there will be, some issues around maybe their obtaining a tax transcript or maybe a missing document. But as long as that application is in and submitted by 11:59, we will continue to process those and evaluate as such.
Okay, and I have another question about the EIDL advances. Now, this is a grant that we all hurried and applied for back in April 2020. It's the same program, right?
Yes.
And and some people didn't apply for it at that time because they didn't understand if it was forgivable, if it was a grant, if it was a loan. There was a lot of confusion. But this is the opportunity that people should be picking up these EIDL grants, advances now if they did not apply back in the day, and they don't have to show a loss then. I mean, at that time in April of 2020, the application was fairly straightforward. Has it become more complicated around the loss and recovery now?
It is still based upon loss. For those in the target advance, it's a 30% loss over gross. And for the supplemental, it is a 50% loss. And I do know there was a little bit of iteration when the program first started back in March. It initially granted those who applied for an EIDL loan to be considered for the initial advance grant of $1,000. There was a specific amount of money appropriated into that program, and I think it was $20 billion, and it was exhausted over a 3-month period. then when Congress reappropriated additional dollars into the program, the requirement of a low to moderate income area was added in addition to the 30% and the 50% decrease. So you are correct. There was a little bit of a slight iteration from the initial onset of the EIDL grant itself. But after the 31st of December, we will no longer process both the target advance or the supplemental. There will be some that have applied or basically said that they're interested months ago. We're still going to continue to fund those through 2022, but nothing will be processed after the 31st in terms of application line.
Okay, we have another question. It's kind of about a verification. Wanted to double check, a business who received an EIDL last year can apply for additional funding now?
Yes, that is correct. You have 2 years from the date of the original origination there to apply for an increase. Based upon eligibility, there is a basic formula that measures what your eligibility is, and that's revenue minus your cost of goods sold times 2. So your increase, as long as you haven't reached your maximum eligibility, you're still the program for requesting an increase is available to you. But you have 2 years from the time of the origination to apply for that, and that will take us all the way until 2024, actually, for the program.
All right, and now we're just waiting for people to type in a few more questions that you might have. You know, one of the things that I've encouraged, I'll talk while we're waiting for a question to come in, is we do have downtown managers, representatives, and things like that. And I've encouraged them so much to share this information because you just cannot tell who needs a loan from the outside. And people are very private about their personal finances. So don't make any assumptions, and make sure all of your business people in your downtown understand there is help available because you do not know who needs help.
That is correct. And I will say, continue to reach out to our resource partners, both the small business development centers, the women's business centers, and our veterans business centers as well, to ensure that you're taking advantage of all of the SBA resources, but also we all, as we say, business owners, we need additional capital, and sometimes we need to sit down with a counselor to make sure that's the right size of funding that we need for our business to function and also become profitable during our growth period.
Well, Terry, I'm not seeing any additional questions, so I want to thank you so much for providing this information to our audience. Again, all of you, you will receive a link to this webinar, which you can share with other people. Again, our goal is to make sure the information is out there. We'll also have it on our YouTube channel tomorrow. And please contact Terry or his associates if you need help. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Joyce, and appreciate everything that Heritage Ohio does in partnership with the Columbus SBA district. Thank you again for those who attended.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye now.